I was saying, this car is a complete LOJ swap. I did myself. It's kind of, at such a low RPM, it's kind of buzzy. So anyway, this car was stock ECU. I could never get it running exactly the way I wanted. I reached out to my buddies at Holly, who are sponsoring me for the other build, and I was like, hey, I'd like to use your product on like something that's drive-by-wire or whatever else. So they were they were obviously all for it. This thing is running out of fuel. It's just out of fuel pump, but we'll get to that later. I'm going to do a fuel pump swap. So this car makes 630 to the tire, 520 foot-pounds with the stock computer. I haven't gotten to throw it back on the dyno since I did the Terminator swap. It only took me about 3 hours to completely remove the stock ECU and all of the stuff, and then install the Terminator X-Max. And this is doing a Snake Eater drive-by-wire throttle, and I think right now it has ID 1000s in it. I was running into issues with getting this running the way I wanted to. It ran, and it ran okay, and it made power, but I thought the drivability and some other stuff wasn't there, and I just couldn't get it, you know, I couldn't get it straightened out. And people were like, well, you need to get rid of the Snake Eater injectors and put a stock LS2, LS3 throttle body on there. So I did all that, and I still had trouble getting it to run the way I wanted. So what's really neat is I got the Terminator package. I put it on in 3 hours. I put the Snake Eater throttle on, and I went through the handheld, started and drove the car. I didn't beat the crap out of it. Part of me knows, like, just from being a tuner, I want to get in there with the laptop and mess around. So, but it started, ran, and drove with the handheld. So I went in and I made a bunch of modifications. I added my fuel pressure sensor. I know I'm way out of fuel pump, so it'll be neat to see just how far out of fuel pump I am now that I'm logging fuel pressure. But drivability is incredible now. It drives 100% awesome. So I'm going to put the giant Snake Eater injectors back in and do some testing with that. On top of that, I have my flex sensor. Everything else is working good. Now it drives, it's insane. Like the throttle response, you can tell when I'm pedaling off the gears just how crazy it is. And then, like I said, again, this is a base model G35, so it has the base brakes, and they weren't in the greatest shape when I got the car. And after like, tons and tons of 140 stops, they're just completely whooped off the car, which you can obviously understand why. So she's got to get brakes, and I would like to put it on the dyno. I don't need brakes to go on the dyno, but I just figured I'd give you guys some videos of me thrashing this thing a bit. It runs incredible. Now you can pedal off third gear. Like, first is obviously like an ice skating rink. Second is useless nearly. You can just barely roll in and get some acceleration in second. Third gear will just spoil if you stomp it. It'll just alight third gear. Fourth, in certain road conditions, fourth will spin too. It's really, really dumb. So let's do, so this is second. The second's total waste of tire anyway. Fourth gear. Woo! And that was another 140 blast. I was kind of surprised with that fourth gear spin. Like I said, you got to be awake to drive this thing. Not to be like a weird, funny egomaniac, but I drive a lot of crazy stuff. But this thing, it gets your heart going. You can drive it nice, but wow, if you're gonna floor this thing, you better be ready for that. It may or may not spin all the way through fourth gear. It may hook in fourth gear. temp 180, inlet 82. Yeah, everything's working really good. Fan's on. Fan comes off at 180. I have a drilled thermostat, so it goes really low. But, whew! All of third, I just pedaled the entirety of third. I hit fourth, it wanted to spin. I was like, I don't want to play through fourth gear today, so we'll just let her go. So I did like a nice strong pedal in fourth, rolled into fourth again, and then hit fifth early. Like I said, 1800 RPM right now, fifth gear. Tons of torque. 1800 RPM, 50 miles an hour. I'd show you guys what it's like to cruise around in this thing. Extremely fans off, 184 degrees. Extremely happy with the Terminator. I barely did anything. I generated a bass tune, and like I said, I tweaked the drive-by-wire settings a tiny bit because I actually have a curve in there. It's not a straight angle now. This car is so rammy on the throttle. I smoothed it out at the bottom. I built a curve in so it has a more gentle throttle feeling at the bottom. The nice thing about the drive-by-wire is you can change that curve. It doesn't have to be an abrupt curve from 0 to 100, like where this is real stabby at. This thing will make like 7 pounds of boost at 30% throttle, and it can be very lungy. So by muting the throttle opening a little bit, it drives so much more docile down low, which is, you want something like this to have the best of both, right? If it's a street car and it has heated leather seats and it had air conditioning, I'm only like a little bit of wiring away from having AC again. But extremely happy with it. I feel like this is how it should have been all along. I don't know why this person's driving so slow. That's mystery of the universe, right? So I can't wait to see how much power it makes. What I'd really like to do is have a fuel system that has a tiny bit of overhead. And now since I have the Terminator, I could control a dry nitrous shot very easily. So it'd be nice for those days when you need a little bit of help, right? If it's 120 degrees out and you want a little bit of help for your inlet air temps, you can spray that little bit of dry nitrous into the snout of the blower. So that's what I'm aiming for next. I want to try one of their in-tank brushless pumps. But I hope you guys enjoyed this drive.